So, welcome to the breathing space for today, which is November the 24th, I think, 2024. And today, a practice just on being with the breath and using the breath as an anchor to observe what else is alive in you today. If you don't want to use the breath as an anchor, then use your feet on the floor, or maybe there's a particular object in your room that you could look at and just use it as a way of coming back to the present moment when you notice that you have wandered off. As we go through the practice, though, every time your mind wanders, it's an opportunity to notice where the mind goes. Whether you choose to relate to your thoughts like a puppy that just keeps wandering off on impulse when something catches its attention, and then training the mind to come back and sit down, come back to the breath and be present. That puppy is going to stay there for a few minutes. Maybe if you're lucky, then it's going to wander off again. And observing our thoughts, we get a chance just to say, well, where does the puppy go? Does it go back to the same place? Is it running round in circles? Is the puppy happy? Is it sad? Is it anxious? Is it curious? So that's the way we're going to observe our thoughts, but with kindness, like we would do with a puppy. Even if the puppy is, chewing on our socks or chewing on our shoelaces, we just gently kind of redirect the puppy away from that and to where we want it to be, with kindness and with care and gently. So we do the same with ourselves. And around this, when thoughts come up, often they have emotions or they are felt in the body. So a chance to see how thinking relates to the way that we feel in our body or our emotions. And that's really the practice for today. And around that, this theme that I was talking about before we started the recording, like I'd just come out of a workshop, a kind of meditation and discussion um, with a very wise mindfulness teacher on the theme of transition and transformation. So I thought, why not drop that in as a theme for us as well? Could be something momentary, like the changes that you feel in the body moment by moment. Could be the transition and change from an in-breath to an out-breath. Could be the change you feel in your emotional state as you practice today. Or it could be something going on in your life that you feel is bringing alive an awareness of change or an awareness of how you transform and change as a person. Um, and just to hold that in your practice, see if it gives you some space for perspective or for insight into the human condition and your place in humanity. So let's begin our meditation. And first of all, just put that intention into the space. Maybe an intention to have an open mind. An open mind, even with a theme of transition and transformation, just really dropping that in like a pebble into a pool and allowing that pebble to just fall through the water and land at the bottom of the pool. And then just let it go and notice really how it lands in your body around your practice. And as you practice, try to be patient with yourself, patient with how you feel, patient with whatever you experience, and patient with your own mindfulness practice, with yourself as a human being. As we move into practice, finding a posture, a position, either sitting or lying, that feels both comfortable but also dignified. Yeah, respecting that you're coming into practice and respecting that there should be no efforting in practice. Allow the body to be held and supported by the surface beneath you. Allow the spine to be relaxed but also upright if you're sitting. Allow the body to be held by the cushion, the mat if you're lying down. As you open a bit more space and feel things slowing down, connect to the body, maybe rooted down into the energy of the earth. Knowing that you can draw on this grounded earth energy at any time in our meditation. Just asking, what do I need from the earth right now? And then just seeing what happens while we practice. And maybe also connecting your heart to the energy of the open sky. Again, it's just an invitation. And then we see what happens throughout our practice. Dropping our awareness down into the body now. For now, letting go of thought. Noticing this body that is breathing and living, a place beneath thought, beneath words. Maybe connecting to those points of contact where body meets floor or chair or bed. Feeling that sense of being held and letting go of responsibility and effort, and allowing the practice to support you and guide you. And if you can't let go, that's fine. At least the invitation is there. And then we see what happens. That's the practice. Just meet yourself as you are, with patience, with curiosity. But if you want to, we could practice maybe just clenching all the muscles in the body, even screwing up your face as tight as you can make it. And then just allow all those muscles to relax. Let go. Begin to notice the breath in your body. Breath coming in, breath going out. Noticing the point at which the in-breath feels complete, and that pause before the breath going out. That transition from in-breath to out-breath. Just living in that space for a while where there's nothing to do except that be in that transition from in to out, and that little pause between the two. And we might notice that transition from breath going out, where the out breath is complete, that pause which turns into an in breath. This constant transition of in breath and out breath, natural rhythm of life, arriving and letting go. Wherever you feel your breathing, rest your attention there. I feel that, transition from in to out, from out to in. And as you rest your attention on that rhythm of breathing, just observe what happens. Might even notice that the breath changes. Sometimes a deep breath, sometimes a shallow breath. The body's constantly changing, adjusting, and we are just the witness to that natural process of change, transition, transformation. And then when your mind wanders, as it will, just noticing this busy mind that we all have. And for now, we can just notice that transition from being with the breath to being distracted. Notice that we've shifted our focus of attention. That is a transition as well. We go, wow, how did that happen? Just by noticing, again, we transition back into awareness and we notice how that feels. As we come back to the next in breath and the next out breath. And if there's a pattern, we keep being drawn into the same thought or a familiar thought or some loop of thinking. We imagine that little puppy keeps wandering off to the same place or keeps running round in circles. And we see the pattern every time. We can just say, wow, that's interesting. And just observe it with kindness. We could maybe give it a label and say, oh, yeah, the puppy looks a bit anxious today, maybe a bit tired, maybe full of energy and wanting to play. But we're just watching the puppy, really, just observing. And then we kind of notice that we're just sitting in practice in this meditation together, bringing our attention back now to breathing feel that transition from thinking to being with the breath. And just like with a puppy, sometimes they do things that annoy us. Like my dog this morning, she ate a jigsaw piece, and I was really annoyed that I couldn't finish the jigsaw because the piece I wanted was now in her stomach. But just notice the feeling that comes up when the puppy does something you don't like. When your thinking takes you somewhere and you go, oh, I really don't like that thought. Or there's a judgment comes up. Oh, here I am again in this loop of thinking. Or you might go somewhere that you really like. Like my dog today, she was playing, and I was just so happy to watch her play. You might feel, oh, this is a nice thought. I like this one. So as you observe these thoughts coming and going like playful puppies, the mind wanders here and there. We can add another level to our practice. We observe the thought and we observe our reaction to the thought. Does it feel pleasant or unpleasant? And how does that come alive in the body? This transition of one emotion to another that follows one thought to another. So once we've noticed the thought, take a pause. Notice the body, the breathing, the skin, the temperature, the heartbeat. Notice how that thought comes alive in your emotions, in your body. And then notice that transition. Then come back to your breathing again. Notice the transition from being with body to being with breath. As we practice, we might notice how one thought transitions into another, how one emotion transforms into another, how my annoyance at losing a jigsaw piece this morning changed very quickly into just acceptance. It's only a jigsaw. And the dog didn't know what she was doing. And just gratitude for having a dog. And a little bit of practice around what's it like to do a jigsaw knowing that there's a piece missing. And gratitude for the practice that that gave me in thinking about what's important in life, what really matters. So as you become accustomed to the chaos of your human mind, we can maybe practice a little bit on the gratitude of what it means to be human. This full catastrophe that we live, a life full of different experiences that transition one from the other, the transformation of emotions and thoughts as we sit with experience, as we see maybe a little bit of wisdom around our experience. As we bring kindness and acceptance to our experience. So when your mind wanders into places that you really would rather not go, or we have that inner critic or the self-judgment, that's just what minds do. Thoughts come, thoughts go. We can't stop those thoughts from arriving, but we can change the way that we relate to our thoughts. Just be curious with an open mind. How does this land in the body, in the emotions? Can I let it go and just come back to the next in-breath, the next out-breath, and a new beginning? So by sitting with our breath and even noticing the little transitions between in and out or out and in, this gives us an anchor from which we can observe our thoughts as just thoughts. But we can also observe how those thoughts come alive in us, what they bring alive in our emotions, our judgments, our likes, our dislikes, all become clear in this space of mindful awareness. And we can train our brain A little bit like we would train a puppy. We can train it maybe to sit or to play with this toy rather than eat the jigsaw piece. So with our clarity, we can maybe make some mindful choices, but kind and compassionate, to retrain our relationship to things, or retrain a more compassionate attitude of mind towards ourselves or others. Or even simply just to let go of that negative thought loop and bring ourselves back to somewhere more grounded, more centered. Step out of that and into a place that feels more connected to the present moment than the past or the future or wherever our thoughts want to take us. So, whatever happens, can't you just take one breath and be back in the present moment? One breath going in and a breath going out. And just say to yourself, well done for being present. So, in this practice, we can also see how we can get caught up in thought and then how we can let go of thought. And we have a choice with awareness. We might observe an impulse to act, to move, to fix, to change. We might also recognize that these two are just part of the process of thought. And we can give that space as well. Just feel that impulse in the body. Feel the emotions that come up around it. And then just come back to the next breath, in and out. And life is a bit like a jigsaw with a piece missing. We have this need to ask questions and find answers. And very often the brain can't cope with not knowing, with uncertainty. So it looks for any way possible to come up with answers that make sense. Wants to fill that space in the puzzle with something. So can we just sit with our breath and notice that need as well? And then say, well, could we just be with the space of not knowing, with the unfinished puzzle, and just feel what happens when we let that go? That need to complete the puzzle. and just enjoy the process of living the full catastrophe instead as a series of experiences to be lived and witnessed breath by breath, transition to transition, and transformation to transformation. Maybe we could be more like a dog. My dog's lying on the floor right now, curled up asleep. I bet she doesn't even remember eating the jigsaw piece this morning. And here I am as a human being, remembering everything that happened. So my dog is very happily living in the present moment. And here I am in meditation, still sitting in this morning. So maybe the puppy brain isn't so bad after all. So let's finish our practice there. We can wiggle our toes and our fingers and feel that movement. And knowing that we continue to practice, there's not really any beginning or ending. But it's nice just to wiggle our toes and our fingers as a way of kind of reconnecting with movement after sitting for so long. When you're ready, opening your eyes, reconnecting with our group. And if you've been watching on a video, you could do some journaling around what you've experienced in today's practice. And the rest of us, we can have a little discussion.